Hello, good evening, everyone, and welcome to a very unique, wonderful, and I would say a very beautiful event. And we call it the Analytics for Food Safety Hackathon. A big welcome from the Middlesex University, from Insights Lab, and from Rubik's. It gives us indeed a great pleasure to welcome all the participants who are watching the event live right now. My name is Krishna Das. I'm the head of Middlesex Insights Lab and associate professor of data science at Middlesex University, Dubai. It might not even be good evening for some of you who would be joining from different time zones, because we actually do have participants from different parts of the world. So if you're watching from different parts of the world, welcome once again to this beautiful event. Um, we do have more and more people joining in because of the time difference and the various time zones. Not every participant will be watching it live, but we definitely wanted to be more of interactive sessions so that it could benefit all the participants of the hackathon. So we'll have a simple rules of housekeeping. You can keep the questions flowing in as and when you want. You can put it over the comments, and then we would answer it as and when it is appropriate. So please feel free to put in comments and put in questions if you have. We are live on YouTube as well as Facebook live as well. So, however, most of the participants would be viewing this on YouTube live. So, welcome once again to the Analytics for Food Safety Hackathon. Very interestingly, this was one of the posters that was shared some time back, and we wanted to complete the food safety fact. And the answer was one of every 10 people around the world experience chronic hunger. And this is exactly the reason why we wanted to run a data science analytics hackathon, which could serve the cause. And what a massive participation we have. It gives me immense pleasure to say we have 170 teams who have registered with us for the hackathon. It's a huge number, different parts of the world, different universities, different professionals, some of the freelancers. And it's a great honor to have such a multitude of profiles all under one platform, trying to work for a common cause of sustainability and food safety. Special mention to some universities, Middlesex University, Dubai, of course, Middlesex University, London. I think there are close to 15, 20 teams from Middlesex, London. There are close to, I think, 25 or 30 teams from Indian Institute of Management, Kozhikode. So special mention to IMK, my alma mater. And all the other universities, Great Lakes, and several other universities who have participated in good numbers, along with several professionals from Dubai airports. We had a lot of professionals from different industries who have come and join us for this beautiful hackathon. So once again, welcome everyone, and I feel proud to start this event for such a diverse group of people. Before I invite others and talk more about the hackathon, just a small note on the Insights Lab. So the Insights Lab is part of the Center for Innovation in Human Experience, CIHX, headed by Dr. Famida. And we are partnered with Beanix. A big thank you to Beanix being our sponsor. So whatever cash prizes are associated with the event is coming from a beautiful partner who believe in building the analytics community. So thank you, Beanix, for that. And of course, Middlesex University, Dubai, for giving this opportunity. A special mention to our director, Dr. Sedwin Fernandez, for being so supportive and having a great support in this particular event. So as a lab, what we try to do is we try to connect the corporate with the analytics community. So overall idea is to build a data science community to help people approach problems from a real world perspective, and also to organize several sessions. So if you haven't signed up yet as part of the Insights Lab, you're more than welcome. I'll be putting the links in the comment. So please go ahead and register. It's open now for everyone. We initially started with the UAE, but now all our sessions are going virtual. So we welcome more and more participants. This is the wonderful faculty team of Insights Lab. Dr. Supriya, who has been communicating with you regarding your event confirmations. Dr. Srijit, who has been supporting us with the overall concept. Mohammad Osman and Atif Ahmed, who are also the faculties of the MSc Data Science program at Middlesex University, Dubai. So thank you, wonderful faculty team, for helping us with this hackathon. And this is the team that made it happen. And I'm so proud to have the core team of Middlesex Insights Lab. They are wonderful data science students: Ansu, Mohammad Abdul Moeed, Farheen, and Gatlin. And all four of them have been working behind the scenes. You'll be seeing some of them today for the rules to make this happen. So before I jump to the data set and I invite our very special guest from Rubix to talk about the concept and data, first I wanted to talk to you about the overall hackathon concept and why we are inviting people from different skill levels to join the hackathon with us. So the idea started with the fact that we need to have a hackathon which is not a typical Kaggle competition. Now, many of you would be pros in data science, so you would have participated in Kaggle competitions where it is one objective driven, and you download a very beautiful data set which is structured very, very beautifully. All you have to do is run algorithms, come up in the leaderboard. We wanted something which is more of a real world data. And trust me when I say the challenges of working on real world data, raw data, is really very different from a very beautifully organized data set that you have. And the idea here is, no, we are not looking for a leaderboard. We are not looking for a prediction model that could come in top. We are looking for insights. And when I say insights, a value addition that could take place either in the theme, which is sustainability and food safety, or to the organization Rubix that has shared data with us. So we have only one aim, which is generate insights. So you could be participating, you could be at a level where you're just familiar with Excel. Wonderful, good for us. So you might have some slicing and dicing, something, let's say in pivot tables, from where you generated so much insights that it really is much more valuable than a prediction. Or you could be a visualization pro. You could be doing something in the dashboard. You could be building something with an interactive feature. But again, can your dashboard generate more and more insights is the question that we are looking at. Or you could be a modeling expert. So you could be your AI, deep learning, machine learning algorithms, and things like that. So we are open for all type of submissions. And this is where the concept of the hackathon is so different, because we are generating insights out of the real world data set. It gives me immense pleasure in order to bring in such a wonderful organization, and even better, such a wonderful human being who got involved in this hackathon, Mr. Mohanad Salam. He is the co-founder of Rubix. He's the advisor of sustainable smart cities and digital transformation. I will not go through a typical introduction for Mohanad because there's a lot to say in terms of what he has achieved. We were involved in my previous organization with Majid Al Futem on some wonderful projects. This is where I came to know this wonderful human being. And what he has done is something which is a contribution to the analytics community, to share data, to make data more open, and allow the community to work on real data set. And he has been with me throughout this idea, which started close to 3-4 months ago. And he has been kind enough to give all the flexibility in terms of releasing the data for the community to work on. So without any further delay, I would like to put Mohannad on stream, and a big welcome to Mohannad.
Thank you, big thank you, Krishnadas, Dr. Krishnadas. Your amazing words will always last in my mind and heart. Definitely, we worked a lot with KD before on several projects and initiatives, but this today seems to be a very special day. I'm very honored by being hosted with Middlesex University in Dubai, and personally by Krishnadas organizing this amazing event. And when I hear 170 teams are involved, and definitely there's a lot of others who are interested, maybe they are not participating, but they are listening to this stream, and this fills my heart, because this shows that cause, which is food safety, is of importance for everyone. That's why the huge number of people are participating. Maybe we're, I would say the tough time that we are passing through, this pandemic situation, has its negativeness and it had its positiveness. From my small point of view, the negative part is that I'm not directly interacting with you, the audience. I'm not able to hear your voice, which I'd love. Usually this is my style when I speak with the audience. I'd like to drive back and forth communication. I'd like to hear your voice. I'd like to ask questions, but today that won't be possible. To a certain extent, things will be more digital. But from a positive point of view, it allowed us to have that big amount of people with us today, that 170 teams participating, that global participation. So it's not bound to Dubai, it's not bound to the university, it went viral. And that's the positive side, which I'd like to highlight. And all of us are seeing a lot of positiveness in whatever we are seeing. That's the human being. We always look into the light wherever there's dark, and we'd like to push more and more into how to advance from that light. So again, thank you all and welcome for being here. And thank you, Middlesex University. And thanks for all your partners for making this happen. Definitely, that's an awesome time for us to leverage on food safety as a topic and see where data and technology can lead us from there. So let me share my screen first of all. And Katie, you can help me by saying that the screen is working.
Sure, please go ahead. Yep, absolutely fine.
Great. So we are set for the hackathon, and the details of the hackathon and the rules will be covered by Dr. Krishnadas and his team. I would be more involved into explaining the topic, food safety, and explaining the data set and explaining the technology. How are we gathering the data? It's very important for all of you to understand the backbone of all the data and how the data is evolving in our hands, and then to take it further to the next level. A brief about us. With no much details, we were ranked as top 20 worldwide IoT solution providers. IoT is Internet of Things. We are strategic partners in the sector of IoT for Microsoft in the region. And we are highly collaborating with governments to integrate our solutions with smart city initiatives. And with that, in UAE alone, we're collaborating with Abu Dhabi Agriculture and Food Safety Authority, and as well with the Food Safety Department in Dubai Municipality. And our technological platform and solution is highly advanced. We're on a daily basis, our R&D teams are always coping with the top-notch technologies to take it always to the advanced level. Whatever we are doing now, we're not satisfied. We need to go further. And why? This is the most important part, the last line, which is sustainability and food safety centric. Rubik's, since its evolution a couple of years back, Rubik's is a startup, by the way. I'm one of the co-founders. It's focusing solely on solving world challenges. We believe in that we can put our hands and fingers in everything. Wherever there is a challenge, we can find a solution. And that's where I advise every one of you. We don't want to tackle solution or use solutions or technologies just for the sake of solutions and technologies. We'd like to solve a problem. And sustainability is a big problem. A lot of nature resources are getting drowned more and more. How can we conserve that? How can we solve those challenges? As Dr. Krishna started that, hunger is a major problem, 1 in 10. This is a high percentage. How can we solve that problem? Food safety is another topic. So when we started Rubik's, the aim was to find a global challenge. And by searching and searching and searching, we pinpointed that food safety is a topic that we didn't know about before. But after that date, when we chose to go into food safety, actually, we started learning the biology of food safety. Forget about technology. Everybody knows technology. Everybody can get into technology. We are not that much. But what differentiates Rubik's from any other competitor currently on ground is that we understand food safety. We talk bacteria. When we sit with food safety people, with food safety managers and hygiene managers, we talk about the details of how bacteria is getting into the milk, how long the milk was left outside the fridge. We learned that language, and that's where we started zooming more and more into the aspects and the problems of food safety. And accordingly, it's not like any sensor can do the job. Now we know which sensor for any application, for any platform, for any customer. And that's what differentiates us from many others on the ground. Those pictures hurts, but those pictures can be familiar. Food poisoning, 420,000 deaths yearly around the globe, according to World Health Organization. A lot of us feel ill because of food. A lot of us might not feel it, and that's the difference in our immunity system. 3-4 guys might go have a burger somewhere. When they go back home, one of them is vomiting, the other one nothing. And another one went into the hospital. This is our immune system. How our immunity would tackle the bacteria that came into our body from that burger is the differentiator. And that's where the topic is very, very sensitive topic. But from the numbers of World Health Organization, we're looking into 500,000 people are dying every year. We didn't reach that number yet with the pandemic situation we are having. So that number is a scary number. With all the technologies we have, with all the smart cities we have, and we're still heading into 500,000 people dying every year because of food poisoning, that's something challenging. Looking into the food waste, we see that 1.3 billion tons are wasted yearly around the globe again. And that's from FAO, the Organization of Food and Agriculture. So a lot of food is wasted. A lot of health lives are wasted. Why? We need to focus on that. That's the World Health Organization report, where it says that among those 420,000, 1/3 of them are children because their immunity system is still developing. So they are not able to take that burger without getting affected. And a clear message was from the World Health Organization that foodborne diseases are preventable and everyone has a role to play. We took it seriously as Rubik's that we are meant by this message. And we focused on that aspect, food safety. And I guess you participating in this hackathon today, putting that message into your mind that you are concerned, you are among those everyone has a role to play, would lead you to the amazing results that we are waiting from you at the end. We don't want you to participate without putting your stamp, without stamping. And that's why you should take it seriously, that you have a role to play. You have the data today, you have the problem in mind, what can you do? Slightly, I'll just show you that the distribution in the report of the World Health Organization shows where the problem is happening. So if you look here, among every 100,000 illnesses, 54% and 53% are there in Latin America, but us here, which is MENA region, Middle East and North Africa, we come second. So we are highly concerned in those food poisoning incidences that are happening. Now, what causes food poisoning? By researching, we found that there's a lot of factors that can add bacteria to our food and can cause food poisoning. Those are the most of them, or the top of them: improper cooling, advanced preparation, infected person. So somebody is preparing that burger, but he's infected, so he's putting his bacteria in it. Inadequate reheating, improper hot handling, contaminated raw food, a lot of other topics. But improper cooling and advanced preparation and inadequate heating alone are 70% of the total. So we see that the temperature is a major component when we come to food poisoning. And even the rest, we all know by reheating the food or heating the food to a proper temperature, if there's a bacteria in the food, it will die. So again, temperature. Whenever we are dealing with food, temperature is a sensitive topic. If we are able to keep a good hold over temperature, then that 420,000 deaths definitely will reduce. And that number of food wasted definitely will be reduced. So temperature is a major player in food poisoning and food waste. Now, okay, temperature is a major player, but what's happening now? What are organizations doing? That's the question we had at the beginning. What's happening? Aren't organizations already taking good care of temperature? But when we investigated, we visited, and we researched into that topic, we found that, unfortunately, 90% of organizations, if not more, and we're talking about hotels, we're talking about factories, we're talking about, name it, whoever are dealing with food, they are still using piece of papers. They are still putting a piece of paper next to the freezer and fridge and chiller and whatever. And somebody is moving there every couple of hours or 1 hour or 2 hours to log down that the temperature at that time when I passed is 4 degrees, and he signed. And those papers become a routine job for people. So this is happening right now. People who are trying to be more advanced are putting inside the fridge some sort of a data logger. And that data logger will be placed inside the fridge and left for 2 days, 3 days, whatever. And then they will take it, put it in a laptop, and download the data. In both situations, whatever is happening, the food safety manager or people who are concerned about the temperature are not aware. That logger is inside the fridge. And after 2 days, it's too late. Somebody has consumed the food maybe. Same with the paper. Keep aside that the paper might put a lot of false data on purpose or by mistake. In a more advanced situation, in hotels especially, we will find that there is a building management system, advanced monitoring solution, where a guy in a control room, an engineer most probably, will be looking into a lot of screens in front of him. But even with this very expensive solution, we'd like to highlight that, first of all, this is very expensive, meaning not all of the people who are handling food are able to utilize that solution. And not all fridges will be covered. This is only infrastructure fridges that was built whenever that building management system was deployed. And that person who is sitting there, who is the engineer, is not a food safety person. He's not concerned if the milk now developed bacteria. He's concerned to shut down the alarm. He's concerned to call the maintenance to fix the fridge. He's concerned about the engineering part of why the temperature went up, rather than the food safety aspect, which we are concerned about. Because the food safety manager reaction would be to spoil that, or to destroy or send out that milk from the fridge because now it is spoiled. We don't want it to be consumed. So the reaction between an engineering person sitting in a building management system or a control room is way different from how a food safety manager reacts. Now, our smart monitoring solution, we call it smart monitoring because it will be relying on live monitoring and will go directly to the hands of who are related to food safety. So we will be using a lot of devices and sensors, but the main component is that we are relying on the internet connectivity. So that factory has a lot of fridges. We are deploying our devices or hardware stuff there. Those are directly, instantly capturing the parameters that matter for food safety and sending them directly to the internet or to our cloud platform. And from there, we're sending the data to the related personnel. So that person in the engineering room will be notified, but as well, the food safety manager, the hygiene manager, the production manager, whoever is in charge about the topic of food safety would notice. Even that happens at the mid of the night, his phone will ring, he will be alerted that something happened with that fridge, so he can take action before somebody consumes the food. Now, what are the parameters? We talked about temperature, but definitely according to the client that we are dealing with, we would identify the hazard and analysis critical points that he have, and accordingly, we might cover humidity, we might cover carbon, we might cover gases. So a lot of other factors might be in relation to why a food can be contaminated. And that's where we cover it with any other sensor that we have. But definitely temperature is the wide audience. Everybody uses temperature or requires temperature monitoring. Now I'll just highlight for you a couple of dashboards or reports that is in our system currently. So whatever we are seeing right now or today is what we have. We don't want you to duplicate that. We want you to take it to the next level. So that's a report that is on a screen in front of the food safety manager or the production manager, that whenever an alert happens, will pop up in front of him. We'll tell him where's the alert. And from here, he can click and zoom to see what's happening in that location. Another report will tackle the transportation. So we see currently whatever is happening with food transported, temperature and other parameters. Those are some analytical reports now, historical reporting, where we can zoom into any fridge or chiller and see how is it performing over the last 24 hours, over the last week, over the last 1 month. So by selecting a chiller or a freezer, we can see the performance of that. We can see what's happening. We can see when alerts are happening. If we are monitoring other factors, like with that client, we are monitoring the electricity. So we see there's a cut in electricity, for example. If we are monitoring other factors like the compressor, if there's a fault in the compressor. So a lot of factors data is there, and we are trying to be smart, playing with the data and presenting the data to food safety personnel in a way that makes sense to them, that takes them to the next level. Instead of them monitoring the temperature, we're monitoring. Now, what can you do as a food safety manager? You have the data. What can you do? This is an analytical reporting that we are taking care of right now, where over a period of time, we are able to dissect the data to see how is it in relation with daily shifts. So how is it in morning? How is it in the afternoon? And this is defined by the customer. The customer would say, I have 3 shifts or I have 5 shifts, and every shift, this is where it starts and it ends at 10 a.m., for example. So accordingly, we will match the data with his shifts, operational shifts, because then this would make sense for him to zoom, to find out that, oh, the problem is happening in the morning shift. Who are the people who are taking care of the morning shift on Saturday? Now he's more zooming into where's the problem happening. So we are trying to open his eyes on the day. We are trying to present the data. And what we want from you is, again, take it to the next level. That's a predictive maintenance alert, we call it, which again, it's a small artificial intelligence part, nothing fancy here. Actually, what we are doing with this part is that we're trying to say that that sensor or that temperature in the fridge during the last 24 hours didn't reach the optimal cooling. So, during a 24 hours or during operational time, the fridge in a supermarket, for example, might be open and close a lot of times. And this will cause the temperature to be fluctuating a lot and not reaching the optimal. Assume the optimal is 0 or 1 degrees of a fridge. So the temperature during the operational hours will not reach 1, will hardly reach 1, let's say. But overnight, it didn't reach 1, that's an alert. That's a maintenance alert. So before things go wrong, although the temperature is still acceptable, but the system will alert the related people that your fridge, that certain fridge, is not reaching the optimal cooling, meaning you should call the maintenance before things go more worse, before that temperature goes up, and then you are in rush to empty the fridge so that you don't spoil the food. I hope if you have any question, you can come back to me later in the Q&A session. And KD, if you have a serious question, you can interrupt me. I'm more than welcoming that. So that's the predictive maintenance. Nothing fancy, as I said. I don't see any machine learning here. That's where we need your brains to take this to the next level. And as I said, personnel, whoever it is, he's the food safety manager or he's the production manager, whoever, they have a mobile app in their hands, which will show them full visibility geographically and into any location to see exactly which fridge, which freezer has an alert right now. Clicking on it will see a short-term history. So that's basically what we are covering right now. It's very interesting, I would say, whenever we present it to any party, be it a customer, a potential customer, be it a partner like Microsoft, or be it a government entity, they are always impressed with what we are showing them. Because it shows that we are zooming and zooming, we're focusing, we're not selling a sensor, we're not selling a hardware, we're not selling an analytics platform, we're selling a food safety solution, and that is the differentiator. Now let's get into the conceptual design. Whenever we go into any location, say this is a restaurant that have 20 locations in a country, every branch is a location. In that branch, we would deploy a gateway, which we call it an edge gateway. That gateway will be actually accepting the readings and the data from all the devices and sensors that are deployed there. So the sensor is what will be measuring the temperature inside the fridge. And then it will be sending that reading to the gateway. So we might have 20, 30, 50 sensors on ground. And those sensors, everyone is dealing with a certain parameter, temperature, humidity, electricity, whatever. And all of them are sending their data to the gateway. And from there, the gateway will frequently send the data to our cloud platform, where a lot of intelligence is happening to send alerts, to notify the related personnel. And from there, they will be able to access the app and the web platform to look into analytics and visualizations and reporting and all that stuff. So this is a brief about the conceptual design. Am I going fast? Can you ask this question, KD?
All good, Monas, so far. I think everything is very clear. If there's any question, I'll definitely come back to you. But everything is perfect. Great input so far.
Thank you. Great. So that was the conceptual design. From there, we will head into the data set that is in your hands right now. So the data set, I guess you all received a sample. All participants of this hackathon received a sample of the data set from Dr. Krishnadas and Middlesex University. So the main table here, as Krishnadas said, that might not be the ideal database that you, or data set that you usually work with in a data science environment, but that's a real situation. Meaning that sometimes we are forced to create a table because we are dealing with this hardware, and that hardware is sending us the data in a specific situation. So yes, in our ideal situation, maybe we will not need to put that table. But because we are dealing with that vendor, we create a situation that match that vendor data. Maybe with another vendor, maybe with another client, the data set would look a bit different. So this is real. Whatever we see in front of us is the real situation, the real scenario. There is a table called reading, and that's the main table. In it, we will find the value. So this is the record. This is the table that have all the records that come every 5 minutes, 1 minute, 15 minutes. In this specific situation, it's happening every 15 minutes. So the frequency is 15 minutes. Every 15 minutes, we have an update. And that's the table that is showing all the updates. Now, another table that is showing updated data is the date table, which is the timestamp. So whenever we are recording a reading, we are linking that with the date ID, and that date ID goes here to that table. So let's assume we're receiving a data right now. We will capture the date right now, date timestamp right now, and we will put a lot of other variables here, like the day of the month, the name of the day, the months of the year, the whatever. We'll put a lot of data in that date table, which will help us later on in the visualization part. So we can play with the visualization easily because we have a lot of data about the date itself. And as I said, every record here have a timestamp, have a date. Now, all the other tables are lookup tables. They are not changing. Basically, they are defined when we start the project with the client. We defined how many locations are there. So we create a name for that location. Let's say this is KD branch, this is JLT branch, this is whatever branch. This is where we name the branch, and we give it GPS parameters, so we know the location of that branch. Now, in the previous slide, we talked about the gateway. And here we see that the gateway is linked to the location. And we might have several gateways in one location. So if that location is a building, we might have a gateway in every floor. We might have a gateway in every, I don't know. So sometimes we are bound to some parameters or some limitations, which makes us, we need more than one gateway in a location. And that's where the gateway table is here. So the gateway table is linked to the location. Then we have the device itself. And the device itself, let's look into this actually to understand the device. This is a device, for example. So you see a device can be linked to several sensors. That might be a temperature sensor. That might be another temperature sensor. That might be a humidity sensor, an electricity sensor. So it depends. Sometimes the device can be only attached to one sensor, but sometimes the device can be attached to many sensors. And that's where if you open the device table in the data set, you would try to understand what we are talking about here.
Mohammed,
Yes.
we do have a question from
Sure.
Ashwin Jason,
Sure.
and he's asking, are you already using quality control charts?
What do you mean quality control charts?
Jason, if you can elaborate on that in the comment, we would certainly want to take it up. You can continue, Mohammed, so once
Okay.
the explanation is there. Yeah.
Okay, so that device, as we see, is linked to a lot of sensors at the same time. And from there, the device would send all those sensors to the gateway. So back to our device table representation, we see that it is linked to the gateway, meaning that one device cannot speak with two gateways. Every device has one gateway to send the data to, and many devices are linked to that gateway. Now, the rest are parameters. This is the device ID, which is in a way unique because this is the device ID that came from the manufacturer and we are using it here. The group ID, which is telling us this is a freezer or a chiller or a meat freezer, or so it's actually that group table here is telling us what is that storage unit. So we have the concept of storage unit. So you can assume that the storage unit is the fridge itself. Okay, so we have a fridge, that is the storage unit. And then we are trying to label that fridge by saying this is a juice fridge, or this is a meat freezer, or this is a dairy products chiller. So we are trying to give it a label, give it a type. What is that storage unit, this freezer or this fridge? Okay, and then the device is actually trying to measure something in that storage unit. So the device that we saw, which has a lot of sensors, one sensor is going to that storage unit, another sensor is going to another storage unit. Okay, and the storage unit is labeled by the group, which is telling us this is a chiller or a freezer or whatever. If you have questions, I'm open whenever you like, or at the end, I don't mind. So that was the storage unit and the group and the device. So now we covered all those. Now we have the service table, which is actually telling us that this is a temperature, or this is a humidity, or this is an electricity, or what is that reading? So back to the reading, whenever we receive a value, that is numeric, right? So that value might be 5. But now the service ID, which is here, would be telling me that this 5 is temperature, is a degree centigrade or Celsius, or that 5 is a percentage of humidity, or that 5 is something else. So that's the service ID. So the service table has a list of all the services that might be coming from the device itself. And left is the attribute and alert level. So attribute is actually the table that is telling us if this is a service, which is temperature, then what is the minimum value and what is the maximum value and what is the alert value. Okay? Taking into consideration that this is temperature because it has the service ID, and this is a meat freezer because it's taking the group ID. So if it is a temperature and it is a meat freezer, then the food safety manager would say that the temperature, allowed temperature is, for example, -20 to -16. And the alert would be -12. So whenever we reach -12, we need an SMS to reach us. Okay, understood? This is the attribute. If we are looking into another group, maybe we're talking about juice, and this is not a freezer, this is a chiller. So this is a fruit chiller. And again, we're looking into temperature. Then the minimum value, the maximum value, and alert value would be totally different. So again, we have in the reading, whenever we are storing that reading value, we are linking it with an alert level ID. So we are telling that this is the maximum, with the minimum, and this. So accordingly, our cloud platform would try to find out what is happening, and shall we send an alert or not? Shall we send a warning or not? Everything is linked to that variable.
Mohammed, we do have one or two questions. So,
Sure.
in terms of the previous question has been elaborated. Jason says that he has heard that you are alerting the authorities when something abnormal happens, like when the temperature in the fridge is not normal. So he's curious to know whether you are using any statistical control charts for that kind of an alert.
It's not, first, when we say authorities, we have to define that this is bound to the customer. So the authority is the customer, is the food safety team and department for that customer. And whenever we are dealing with a project like Abu Dhabi Food Control Authority or Dubai Municipality, they have their own standards. So what would define the alert? Again, the question seems to be related to that table, the attribute. This is totally defined not by us Rubix. This is defined, this is dynamic data in the back office, where people in charge, like the food safety manager or the quality control manager, would put their input, would define for that kind of food what is the alert level. Accordingly, our platform will be able to send the alerts and do that. I hope I answered the question.
Yeah, and Mohanna, there is one more question by Tejas. He says, what does the node ID indicate? Is it the reading from a specific sensor reading?
Node, as I said at the beginning, that sometimes we are bound to the data that we receive from our vendors. So the device itself is dictating on us some of the fields. So node ID, if we go back to that table, is what we did here by splitting the device ID to take this here. So device ID is what comes from the vendor, which has a serial number and it has some code, 16A. Okay, what we are doing is trying to split that and put it back into a column and try to benefit from it somewhere. So if we want to select on node ID 16A, we will be able to reach that. Okay, some might be not important at all to this hackathon. Might be yes, I don't know. They have to play with the data, but the origin of node ID came from the device ID. What we are trying to do is that we are trying to have a lot of columns in front of us that will help us in the intelligence later on.
Okay, perfect. That makes sense. And we have a question from Mohan. He's asking if the frequency of the collected information from the sensor is 15 minutes. Is it that it is the average value of the last 15 minutes window?
No, but his name is similar to my name, so I have to take care of him. So 15 minutes actually is configured by the client himself. So our solution and our devices can go from 1 minute up to a couple of hours. Depends on the sensitivity. At some situations, we install the same system for a drug store where the fluctuation might be more sensitive. And in that sense, we go for a lesser time. So we go for a couple of minutes or 1 minute. Depends on how much the period would actually harm the inventory. In the case of food, in most of the situations, 15 minutes seems to be acceptable. Because during 15 minutes, not much might happen. Yes, the temperature inside the freezer might drop, but the food temperature itself will take some time to drop that drastically. So you can take an example. If you have an ice cube and you put it outside, it will take some time until it melts totally. And that's where food itself, the temperature of food is different than the air temperature inside the fridge. So 15 minutes seems to be a good buffer. Economically, we're speaking, because there is cloud involved here. So the more we involve data frequency sending to the cloud, the more we need to have a higher cloud subscription. The more the data consumption will be higher, the more the 3G or whatever will be higher consumption. So we're trying to have a balance between not having harm on the food and not having an economical harm on the client himself. So 15 minutes seems to be good. It's not an average of the last 15 minutes, because it doesn't make sense to have an average. Yet it's good to know that now we're dealing with another vendor actually, where we are able, whenever, even during the 15 minutes, whenever an out of control incident happen, directly the device will send the data to the cloud. So we are maintaining the 15, the economic balance, but as well, whenever an incident happens, which is to be alerted, an alert will be directly sent to the client.
Wonderful.
So
I
this,
think it's a classic
yeah,
case of optimizing the balance between how much you store and how much you make sense of it. So that totally makes sense. We have one more question from
sure.
Alan. So he's asking, how are the parameters such as temperature, humidity classified or identified?
With the service ID.
Okay.
So that service ID table is what is telling us. So this comes from the device itself. And from that, we know that this device or that sensor is a temperature sensor, or is a humidity sensor, or is an electricity sensor, or whatever sensor. So that is tackled with this table, the service.
Perfect. All right. So I think we are almost done with all the questions. There's one question about will the attributes be shared with the participants? Absolutely. So we do have a full sheet where all the attributes will be shared. And also at the end of the session today, for those who are watching us live, we wanted to release the data set first to them. So we will be releasing the NDA form live at the end. And once you're done with the NDA form, you will get the link to the full data set. So stay with us till the end of the event. Over to you, Mohanad.
Thank you, Gershon. So back, I guess we covered all the tables. That alert level actually is just an add-on that we are using for color coding, for example. So the customer might want to see alerts in a certain color, might want to see it in a certain name. So accordingly, that table will suffice. So it will show us that there is an alert, and will display the alert in the color that the customer is used to. So that was the device table. And before we head to the last slide, I'd like just to highlight that again, this is real data. And when we are dealing with real data, means there's a lot of issues in that data. You will find that there are some gaps. Maybe for 1 month that fridge didn't send data. Well, that happened. Maybe the 3G SIM card of that gateway in that location was not working at that time and nobody noticed. Or nobody wanted to, the client didn't want to pay for that month. I don't know. This is just trying to say that this is real data. It's not an ideal data. There's a lot of issues in that data. You might find, and I guess you will find that there is a freezer. So their storage unit at the beginning of our project was a freezer. But after 1 year, they changed that into a chiller. So that same unit now is reading different temperatures. So what we want you is use your analytics and data science experience to clean the data, to split the data, to play with the data, do whatever you want with the data. What I care for is innovate. And this is very important. Putting the big goal in our mind that we want, every one of us is involved in stopping foodborne illness. We don't want people to die because of food. We don't want to throw food because there are others who are trying to find food and we are wasting food in tons. And this is something that I know personally. When we deal with supermarkets, on a daily basis, tons of food are wasted. So yes, we need to stop foodborne. We need to stop food waste. We need to save money for organizations, and this is what I'd love to see from you: the innovation part. Take the data, put your machine learning into it, but it's not a technological hackathon. It's not that I want to play with the data to come up with the brightest visualization, whatever. I'd like that brightest visualization to make sense to food safety people. So it's amazing if you guide yourself with a background about food safety. Understand the aspects of food safety, understand why food is poisoned. Maybe you can talk to a food safety manager here or there to get some background about it. That's needed. So when you do a visualization, actually it makes sense for that food safety manager. It makes sense for us and Rubik's to present that to our clients. I'd like to see innovation. I'd like to see the next step of this solution, the next phase. I really thank you from all my heart, because this, as I said, fills up my heart, because the cause is taken seriously by you guys. And I'll hand from here to KD for your questions. And thank you again, Middlesex University and Dr. Krishnadas and all your partners for making this hackathon kickoff in this lovely way.
Thank you, Mohanad. Wonderful indeed. And, this is where I would say the hackathon is so different from Kaggle, because, in the other competitions, the aspect of domain knowledge is something that is usually ignored. It's all about data, and you do something with data. But here, the fact that you mentioned that you should spend time in understanding the background of food safety, it's almost like a consulting projects which the participants will be going through. And of course, this is a wonderful experience because, some of the data points might not be used at all for the competition. On the other hand,
Exactly.
some data points might be added. On the other hand, there could be something that needs cleaning. On the other hand, it needs merging, aggregation. So it's open-ended in a way which really comes in a real-world situation. As we have seen with our previous role, the kind of data that comes in is so raw. It's not usually structured in the format on how beautifully it comes through. So it's a wonderful experience for the participants to go through this kind of data. There are a few questions. Vinod is asking, in case of any devices that are not functioning or malfunction, are the health of the devices and gateway monitored in such cases?
In that specific data set, it's not.
Okay. but otherwise externally it is.
Yeah, yeah. So they
Yeah.
might
Okay.
advise. They might
Hmm.
advise. And this is part. This is where we are asking everybody to come up with enhancements. So I would accept and I would welcome actually somebody to tell me why don't you take the health parameter into field and alert the customer, which we are doing currently with new projects, because the devices that data set that you have in hand is 4 years back. So IoT devices themselves, they evolved from that time to now.
Okay, wonderful. So I think Vinod, you are already entering into the solution space, which is good to see. One or two more questions. Alan is asking, any maintenance activity on the refrigeration units are captured?
Repeat the question, please.
Are there any maintenance activities on the refrigeration units which is captured?
In the data set? No, in that data set.
Okay, yeah. So same, pretty much related to the previous question.
Yes,
There's one more question on, are there any white papers or case studies? Atul, yeah, so that will be the job of Insights Lab. I think we can come up with a collection of few good case studies and some research papers related to food safety that could help you enhance the domain knowledge that is required. And that is why we have a good timeline. It's not a 1 hour, 2 hour algorithm submission that you're doing. So I think it's a good input, Atul, that you have given to the Insights Lab. We'll work on it and
definitely.
try to share some content there. So yeah, I think we have covered most of the questions. Thank you for some wonderful comments which are coming in. So now we will is the important part of the session. This is the last part where our Insights Lab team members Ansu and Abdul Moed will guide you through the specifics. So this was more about from domain perspective, from data perspective, but the competition rules and processes. I'm more than happy to invite Ansu to take you through the process. So, Morna, thank you so much once again. If there are any questions, we will be constantly in touch with you throughout till the submission date. We have a Facebook event page which will be used as a forum. So all your questions, please post it so that others can also benefit. And we will ask Mohammed and his team to constantly reply if it is something related to Rubik's, if it is something related to the competition process. Insights Lab would be more than happy to. So please go ahead, like our event page, and then you could post your questions over there. Thank you, Mohammed, once again.
Definitely. Thank you, Krishnadas, and thank you for everybody. And we will be welcoming all your questions. We will be highly in touch with Dr. Krishnadas and Middlesex University, preparing for the next activity, which is the final ceremony, and how we will. And I would like to push it to the next level for you guys, that we will try, and we are trying, me and Dr. Krishnadas, to get some serious authorities, government entities, in the panel at the end. So we'd like to see innovative ideas from your side. I hope I didn't ruin something, Katie.
That's okay. That's fine. We'll try our level best. Let's see how it goes. So thank you so much, Mohammed. I'm
Thanks a lot.
adding Ansu to the stream. Mohammed, I'll take you from here.
Sure,
Thank you.
sure, sure.
Good evening, all. I'm Ansu from Insights team. It's a great pleasure to be here with you as part of Middlesex Insights Lab Analytics for Food Safety Hackathon in collaboration with the Rubik Smart Solution and Binix. We have listened to the words of Mr. Mohanat, and it was a great session that we got good idea of the data that you are going to explore. I understood that you are all pretty happy and excited to play around with the data. Before that, I'm just taking a few minutes from you for sharing the details, process, deliverables, rules and regulations, and about the data, and more about the part of the major part, which is the takeaway, that is the awards. Interesting part of the events is that we have people from different part of the world participating in this. Whether you are just a beginner or a pro in analytics, it doesn't matter. We just want to get the best beautifully derived insights from the data set, and we are all looking for it. And I hope you are all good known enough about the process about this. Still, we can have a look on the timeline of this event. 4th June today, which is the data release, which will happen in some times from now, and the submission deadline is on 20th June, which is exactly 16 days from today. And 25th June, we'll be announcing the shortlisted participants' details. And the final presentation of the top 5 teams will be announced later. That means the date will be announced later. And it's not limited to top 5. It can go up to top 10, depending on the incredible data set that we are receiving. Incredible insights that you are giving to us. We can extend to top 10 teams. And how the evaluation process is done by our team is, when we receive your submission, our first evaluation will be done by the Insights Lab faculty members, which will be forwarded to the Rubik's team for their evaluation. After that, we'll be shortlisting the top teams, and the presentation will be done by them depending on the availability of the team. And on the day of the presentation, the evaluation will be done by the lab members with Rubik's team, along with the external judges. And what we expect and what is the expected deliverables? We are just expecting a report which is of maximum, which should include the references, a title page which needs your name, details and all. And we are expecting you to submit any model, codes, Excel sheet, or any visualization dashboard that you have been used for deriving this insight, which can give us more idea about your, about your derivations. And I want to tell, any work beyond our expectation will be an added advantage, and it will be credited, given more extra credits. I know you'll be pretty, interested to know about what should be there in report. I'm handing over to Abdul, and he can give you more details about that.
Thank you, Ansu, for guiding us through. I will add Abdul Moed, another fantastic member from the Insights Lab core team. Abdul Moed, I'll share your screen as well. And now we are on to you. If you can unmute your mic and go ahead.
Hi, good evening, everyone. It was great getting to know the first hackathon happening in UAE related to data science, and Middlesex and Insights Lab working towards it to make it happen. And getting a chance to work on something that is a real world data, and which has an open boundary that will help us all to work in our own limits. We as a data science team, or as a unit, we are having many kind of competitions like Kaggle or any other sets where we have a defined achievable goal. But now in this session, we want to make it more elaborative. It is up to you who can decide what you want to submit and what you want to get evaluated. So we have made a constant report format that we want you all to put in when you make your submission, wherein you would first have a cover page which would include your name and all the contact details. And then there are 4 sections. The first section would be the aim and objective on what you're trying to define or what you're trying to achieve from it. The section 2 would be about understanding about how it would relate to the food safety, which is the primary concern of this complete hackathon. And section 3 would be the analysis, which could be any visualizations, dashboards, modeling, or any other kind of insights that you would have or you would want to add to it. And so section 4 can be, any further recommendations or any other data set that you would need, any other things that might come in that would be handy for you to elaborate this further. That could be the report format. The awards are defined in this way. The first person who would, give a good presentation, and then a Rubik's team and the Insights team would evaluate, and the first winner would be getting a 1,500 dirham award and a merit certificate, and the second runner-up would be getting a 1,000 dirham award and a merit certificate. Along with that, all the valid participants, which would have a valid submission done by the deadline, would get a valid participation certificate, which would be authenticated by Rubik's and Insight Lab. And once everything has been done, there is also a good possibility that many of us can be a part of this food safety project going on further with a virtual internship from Rubik's. We have formulated some rules based on our experience, wherein to make any submissions, the participants must be a part of Insights Lab. Each team should comply with the regulations specified with the data ethics form, which would be submitted after this event. For you to get a hold of the data, there would be some NDAs, and along with that, some data ethics. Since it's a real world data, we would like you to submit back the data, submit back those forms signed, and any amendment regarding the rules or competition dates or any other changes will be done by Insights Lab and will be informed to all the participants. The materials that would be used, or the software that you would like to use, or any approach that you would want to use for this data is completely up to the participant, and he can choose whatever tool or whatever methodology that he would seem fit for the data. And the judgment made by the committee and the Rubik's team would be final, and it will be completely determined by the Insights Lab team and Rubik's team. I think Mohammed already has given a very good explanation of the complete data set that we would be receiving. So I just wanted to reiterate, these are the main data tables that we would receive in the data that we would be sending out. That would be almost around a 4-year data. Any other questions or any other information that you would require, or you would want to know further details about this competition, you can always reach out to Ms. Farheen. Her email address is stated here. And I would now hand it over to Mr. Krishnadas to take us further.
Thank you, Abdul and Ansu, for guiding us through the rules. We are actually bang on time, and we are open to the questions from the participants. And thank you for all the wonderful comments, and we are glad to know that all of you are excited to be a part of this. So just wanted to make sure what are the steps from here on. So those who are watching us live right now, what I will do is I will put a banner with the link for the NDA form. So as Abdul mentioned, that once you press the final button of the NDA form, once you complete all the clauses of agreement, of course, it's a basic NDA form to make sure that the interest of Rubik's and the clients are protected in terms of not putting the data on a public domain or any social media platform, because this is for participants to do research, experiment, and be a part of the hackathon. So once you complete the NDA form, once you are done with the final question, and when you press the submit button, you will be given a link which will take you to a Google Drive folder where the complete data set is there. You can download, have a local copy for yourself, and you can start working on it. However, if you're not able to catch up right now in terms of the link, because when we post it in the comments, YouTube doesn't allow posting the link, so it will be in the banner. But just in case you're not able to get the NDA form right now, within an hour, we will email all the participants with the NDA form link. And also mention that once you press the submit button, it's digitally signed. As a response to that, on your screen itself, you will see the link which will take you to a Google Drive folder where the complete data set is present. So we are open to any questions, and I will bring Mohammed back to have all 4 of us on screen. So if there are any questions, if there is something, please do let us know. In the meantime, what I can do is let me just put in the NDA form banner. There you go. This is the link for those who are watching us live. It is bit.ly, all small, /MDX for Middlesex, MDX, NDA form. So you can just get onto this link. Take your time to fill in. There are a few questions over there. As I said, once you hit the last question, you will get the link which will direct you to the Google Drive folder where you will get the data set for you to download. As I said, this is now, it's not like we want to stop the relation till 20th June when the submission would take place. It's a constant interaction that we'll be having with you. And the best forum for that would be the Facebook event page, where you can post something as a discussion question so that it's visible to other people who are working and have similar questions or doubts. Of course, you can use email as a platform, but I would still recommend to use Facebook so that the answers are actually visible to everyone. What I've also done is I have put in some email addresses as the comment there on the YouTube platform. So Farheen is a brilliant student core team member, along with Gatlin. They will help you with anything related to the process. I can help you anything related to the domain itself, and of course, I'll connect you to Mohannad, who will help you anything related to Rubik's. So all of us here are more excited to convert this into submissions. So as I said, 170 teams is a big number of participation, but we really want to see all 170 doing the final submission, because that would be epic. Though it would create a wonderful tightly packed schedule for us, because we'll have to then evaluate in 5 days. But we are more than happy to put in the efforts if all of you go ahead and do the submissions. So I hope you did receive the link for the NDA form. Just putting the banner once again, in case you were not able to catch up earlier. But don't worry, everything is recorded. This video will stay on the YouTube channel, and will the data set and the link will also be eventually emailed. One thing that we wanted to ensure is, after every email submission that we do, we will post it on Facebook, mentioning that we have completed this stage, because sometimes the emails do bounce off. Maybe during the registration you have incorrectly mentioned something here and there. So as I said, we have 170 teams, so it's a huge database that we are sending the emails to. So just in case you have missed out on an email, you can constantly check our Facebook page. And if you think that, okay, Insights Lab has done something but you haven't received it, immediately you can shoot an email to any of the email addresses that are given to you, and we'll be more than happy to respond. Mohannad, any closing remarks?
That's it. I guess I spoke a lot today. So thank you. Thank you, everybody. And best of luck for everybody. Innovate and shock us. Shock us with something outstanding, out of our imagination. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We do have some technical questions coming in. We'll answer that in the forums, just to avoid any complications here. So thank you. There's a question by Ahmed. We will answer that in the forum. So thank you so much, one and all. A big thank you going out to, again, all our partners: Middlesex University, Center of Innovation and Human Experience, Dr. Fahmida, BNIX, our partner, for sponsoring and being a part of this wonderful initiative, and of course Rubik's, a wonderful organization with a common thought process to build up the analytics community. It was indeed our pleasure to host you live. We had more than, I think, 90 on YouTube, and the remaining on Facebook, who joined us live. So that's a wonderful participation. So thank you, everyone. Okay, there's a question. Has anyone received the data set? So as I said, it's not the data set that we have released. We have released the NDA form, and the NDA form is here. So once you complete the last question of the NDA form, you will receive the link, the Google Drive link for the data set. And even if you, it's not in a rush that you need to fill it now. We will be sending out an email within 1 hour after we complete the event, and all of you will have the NDA form and the dataset link with you. So thank you once again. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. We'll be more than happy to assist you with the journey. I hope you had a very good experience, and wishing you all the best. As Mohannad said, may the best team win, and may the best innovation win, and more importantly, may the best insights win. So thank you so much. Have a good day. Stay safe during this time and take all precautions. Thank you so much.